Hey, welcome to the Renewing the Mind
What's
podcast.
up?
I'm your host, Tyler Sanchez. Joined with me, my dad, Dr. Raul Sanchez. How you doing, Dad?
I'm feeling amazing, man. Like back in the day, NDSU, we had a saying: "Those who stay will play; those who play will be champions." Once a champion, always a champion. There she is, right there, baby. Check her out.
And there's the ring kiss. Hey, on this podcast, we teach you how to renew your perspective, move towards uncertainty, and find what's awesome about that in every situation. And never forget it. There's two times to be great: when you feel like it and when you don't.
Yes, sir.
Today's podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube live or watching it back, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell. If you're listening to the podcast anywhere you consume audio podcasts, please give us a review. Today we're talking about the part 2 in LEAP,
Leap. And
training
Leap
parents.
stands for Lifestyle Enhancement for ADHD Parent Training.
Okay. Last week we talked about physical activity, getting outside, getting them to learn and train.
Yes.
So click the screen, you'll see the little thing on the watch back that will pop up, and you can go back and watch that episode. If not, join us today. We're talking about sleep, the
Yes.
second part in our 3-part series. And I know as an adult, sleep affects my behavior,
Yes.
my patience, the way I get aggravated or annoyed. And then we also see it in my kids
Yes.
and how they respond. So it's a huge part of not only our mental health, but our physical health. So today you're going to give us some practical
Yeah.
steps.
And that's why people always say, like, "Man, you got up on the wrong side of the bed because, like, you just woke up grouchy."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first
So
thing,
take it away.
the first thing I'll say is you can research all this stuff literally and print it on sleepfoundation.org/mental health ADHD. sleepfoundation.org/mental health ADHD. And there's literally like probably 7 to 9 pages of stuff you can print out, which gives you like steps of like the most best programs at work or stuff like this. And you can get tons of ideas. And the number one thing I want you to think about is every kid's a little different, but predominantly the framework and the program is going to be the same for all of us. So, all right, number one, like why sleep? Why would sleep be one of the top 3 behaviors that, psychologists are working on helping parents to train their children? The number one issue is sleep deprivation represents the number one reason that mimics ADHD. So I've been practicing, for 24 years. And when a kid comes in with an ADHD evaluation, one of the very first things we look at is we rule out a head injury, brain trauma, and then we rule out sleep deprivation. And then from there, we move into learning disabilities and testing. So I want you to think about, sleep deprivation is making a kid completely look ADHD. And that's why it's so important. And obviously, kids who have ADHD and have poor sleep, they're even worse. And that's true for all of us. For the purposes of this article that I'm training on, our 3-part series, we're predominantly focused on ADHD kids because they tend to have the most sleep deprivation anyways, because they're so hyper and they can't settle. And they can't shut their brains down. So that's why we're starting with them, that population in particular. But I promise you it generalizes to all of us, okay? So let's just jump in. So the first issue I want to focus on is the idea of a sleep schedule. And the sleep schedule is the number one thing I want you to prioritize. So we want to prioritize 2 things. Number one, we want to prioritize the bedtime time frame. And I want you to think about 1 hour, but obviously if you can break that window down into 15 minutes, even better. And also a morning routine, or the morning time that you wake up, the morning frame. So for example, let's just say, since it's summer, your kids are going to bed between 9 and 9:30. That's a 30-minute window. So every single day, your window is we're shooting for 9, but we have to make it within that window of 9:30. And the reason is if you're a 15-minute increment, like from 9 to 9:15, your brain knows no difference. 30 minutes, 20 minutes is kind of rough. It'll be okay. It's just roughly like the brain knows a little bit. But if you miss by an hour or 2, it's literally like you just had jet lag. Think about it. We go into a time zone, it's an hour off, and people get headaches. So what if you go 2 hours or 3 hours in your jet lag? Do you get what I'm saying? That sleep is that important. So step one, your very first thing is you have to prioritize your absolute sleep framework. So within 30-minute window for kids on when we go to bed, and every single day we wake up. So I know that's hard because like sometimes when I'm on fire or whatever, like I'm really cruising, I'm hitting goals or whatever it may be. We'll go on vacation and I'll still wake up my normal time. And then there's other times I'm like just up and down to kind of just maybe trying to schedule something different. I'll sleep in at the hotel. My wife will laugh at it and she'll say, "Oh, you getting up at 5 a.m. tomorrow?" Ha ha ha. And she starts laughing. It becomes a joke.
Right.
But I do wake up and I feel more groggy, and it's just because your routine's off. Okay, so that's how important that is. Now I want you to think about with that routine, that sleep schedule. The number one thing that knocks you off that sleep schedule would be traveling, vacation, summer, and then the other one is people nap. So if you're going to nap, only nap maybe 20 minutes. My wife can do a 20-minute cat nap. I can't. If I sleep for 20 minutes, I'm mad that you didn't let me sleep 2 hours. So I'll just have to keep going all day, kind of a thing. I try, and it just doesn't work for me. So the number one thing we're working on is sleep structure, and that's prioritizing your sleep framework. And that means set a hard time at bedtime, a hard time when you wake up in the morning, and stick to that routine, because the number two thing we're going to work on is I want you to have a nightly sleep plan to create your behavioral habit. And so what we're talking about here is the behavioral habit. This is something I want you to think about, is your pre-sleep plan is what helps your body to know that sleep is coming. So, you guys know the classical conditioning thing with, it was found by happenstance. Like, Pavlov is credited with classical conditioning. He goes in to feed these dogs that they're using like for experiments. And when he opens the door, red light comes on, and then he pours food in the dish. So pretty soon when they came in, they asked the question, like, why are dogs salivating and why they know food's coming? They figured out that the red light signaled that food's coming.
So the body begins to then adapt to that?
The body begins to adapt to that. So as we move in now to the pre-sleep routine, I want you to pay attention to, let's make this a habit for your kids. Now, let's just go off track for a second. If you're the kind of family that just kind of goes like whatever deals, like kids can fall asleep on the couch and this kid can fall asleep while he's playing Xbox, and this kid falls asleep in bed with the TV and he just like zones out and just crashes in his bed. The kids are not having any sort of habit whatsoever. So if they ever come off that plan, they have no idea what works. So we're launching those kids into, let's say, college, and there's no parent, guardrails helping them. And they're literally going to continue to experiment until they just make themselves sick, because they're not holding anything constant. The only way you know something works is we hold one thing constant and we mix something up. So black coffee, I add honey to it. If I only just add honey to it, I can put honey in, honey out. I can mess with it. I'll know within a couple days if I like black coffee and honey. What if that honey is one of 7 ingredients? I'll never know, because I'll take off honey one day, I take out cream one day, I take out all this other stuff. I just like, screw it, I'm done. I'm gonna give up. And that's what happens to people with sleep. And I know it's weird, but people drop out of college because they can't manage their sleep schedule. So now let's get back on track. I want you to think about what we can do for kids. And there's basically like a 3-2-1 rule. So what they say is 3 hours before bed, no stimulation, which is really kind of hard, right? So that's kind of it's an okay rule, because sometimes, we go on a bike ride, or sometimes, we're playing games and stuff. So that's hit or miss. It depends on the kid. But these next two are hard and fast. Like number 2 hours before bedtime, no food. Okay? Because this is part of your pre-plan, schedule. And then the number one would be 1 hour before bedtime. There's no screen time, no electronics. And then you're going to dim the headlights. So it looks really weird, because I run around the house and I shut off all the headlights, overhead lights, and we run around the house for an hour.
Headlights. You went out to turn your car headlights off?
Overhead lights.
Overhead lights?
Overhead lights, yeah.
Like room lights?
Good catch.
Yeah.
Room lights, yeah. So we turn off it's funny, headlights. We turn off the overhead lights.
Yep.
Okay. And then we just leave lamps on all day, because the lamps are kind of under your eyes. It doesn't mimic sunlight. As the sunlight, like the 45-degree angle or where that's going to be, the overhead light will mimic more sunlight, and especially the screens. Okay.
Most people know the screen time.
Yeah.
The lights around the house is not usually a normal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, people kind of do that just naturally.
Yeah.
As it kind of, when you're done with the kitchen, turn the kitchen off. Done with the dining room, turn it off. But to be strategic about, or intentional about doing that is probably another thing.
Yeah. And it's funny, because if you think about, we started this in Iowa City. So it was like, the whole idea about our living legacy is like, as soon as I learn it, I teach as fast as we can. Right. So in Iowa City, we had that sign that says kitchen's closed. Yeah. And then we adapt that sign into, our kids, like, kitchen's closed. Like, hey, I'm hungry. It's all right. Kitchen's closed. That already signals bedtime's coming. Okay, then your next step is you run around the house, you shut off all the overhead lights, and the house is kind of run by lamps.
So that all those processes are telling your body to start naturally producing like melatonin, right?
Yes.
So that you can fall asleep.
Correct. Yeah, and just think about it. Like, before we speak, your hands get nervous. You don't have to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to speak in an hour. You're just like, man, why are my hands sweating?
Yeah, you just know it.
Your just body knows, right? So remember, your body is an organism, and it's always picking up this data.
Sure.
Okay, so then the next piece I want you to think about, the 0, so 3, 2, 1. 0 now we're going to move into the calming process, and the calming process is literally, I want you to think about 3 to 6 steps where I'm trying to put each kid at very calm behavior. And so that's going to look a little different for everybody, but I want you to think about the first thing is tag team is allowed. So if we pick up Tyler and Alicia, they got 3 kids, there's 2 of them. So they're going to have to tag team a little bit. One's going to take the baby, the other one's going to take the kids that are a little bit older, or vice versa, that kind of a thing. You know, when we try that, I know the boys would always say to me, like, you don't do tuck in like mom does.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing, because she would literally stick the blanket, tuck under their butt cheeks or something. And I'd just be like, fold it up to their arms, like, you know. So that's going to ebb and flow a little bit. But, okay, so if we take a look at what we're going to do, so I want you to think about, okay, so 3 hours, no activity, 2 hours, no food, 1 hour, we're dimming the lights. As soon as you can, as soon as you want to, in that last 1 hour, this is where we're going to start our calming process. The calming process could be up to 6 steps, and that's going to depend on your family. But I just wrote some down that I just kind of help people start with. I just call this like a skeleton plan. And the skeleton plan is, okay, number 1, so let's say it's right at an hour. We have an hour before bedtime. Number 1, we're going to start planning for prep tomorrow. That could be making your lunches. Like if it's our kids, it's like, Mom, what's on the school lunch? So you take a look at the fridge, and then we decide if we're doing cold lunch and that kind of a thing.
Yep.
Then we move in and we start getting the backpack ready. Like, do you have volleyball tomorrow? Is it football day tomorrow? Like, is it A day? Is it B day? You start to plan. Okay, and then you start to move into bath, brush your teeth, nighttime hygiene. You take that. Let's say that takes you 30 minutes. So now you're into your final 30 minutes. Now the final 30 minutes, this is kind of a little bit skeptical. It depends on who you are, but as a family, but I like to push into the bedrooms, because then you're into the bedrooms with a nightlight and the kids are in bed, and then you do your nighttime story. Or if you have a rocking chair or something, you cruise into, let's say, the bedroom, and then you've got like, let's say sandbags or big old bean bags in the room. And then everyone's just kind of chilling and just relaxing. So that last 30 minutes, that's the most relaxing activity. So obviously tickling, playing ninja, fighting, that kind of stuff, exciting kids, that's not really going to work very well. This is a whole nother process, but like our kids used to play the dark game because they were afraid of the dark. We would do that like an hour before bed, because I tried to get them hyped up a little bit, not afraid of the dark. And then we would start the nighttime routine. Yeah. You can't do that like right before bed, because they're going to bed with all this adrenaline.
Yeah. I always get in trouble with that. It's like, it's nighttime, and start chasing around the house. And Alicia's like, you're going to get them all riled up. I'm like, no. The common thing is like, we're exerting as much energy as possible so that they could fall asleep faster. That's kind of the misconception.
It's kind of
And so, I always do that and get in trouble. Or like Milana, her favorite thing now to do, I just told you, is like to run away. So anytime we got to put socks or shoes or clothes on her, she just takes off. Yeah. So as soon as we say, brush your teeth, she likes doing that. So she'll run in there. But then as soon as we start talking night, well, the other night you were on the phone with her, FaceTime, and I was saying night, and she's going, no.
She already knows.
Yeah, so she starts running. So I think it's funny. So I start chasing her and say night. And she's like, no, running around the island in the kitchen. Yeah, which defeats the purpose.
Yeah, and the reason is because they're tired and they sit down. They physically they're kind of exhausted, but their head is spinning so fast. They have all these ideas flourishing. It'll be hard for them to sleep, and then their imagination's on, so they look around the room and they see things that look like ghosts or something. Now, if we back that up, let's say you chase Milana around the house at an hour before bed. That's fine, because she has plenty of time to settle back down. Sure. Yeah. So that first 30 minutes into so let's look at you guys. 3 kids, 2 parents. You guys split up. So let's say Alicia starts moving in and starts doing nighttime prep, making lunches, packing backpacks, and you're kind of messing around with the kids that first 30 minutes. That could be okay. Yep. It's not necessarily considered calming, but you're still giving them some attention. You're still kind of just like making it so once they start to play that game, they know the bedtime's coming.
So for us personally, the calming sensation, nighttime for young families, I just speak for myself and for people I know, is usually the most stressful time.
It is.
It's just like, get to bed, brush your teeth. And I go in there and they're not brushing their teeth, and they say they're brushing their teeth and they're not. And they're in there for 20 minutes. They're playing with the water. It's like, it's rare. Is it like everyone's calm, lights are dim, we're talking about, it's like, it's not that. It's usually like, get in bed, screaming, and I don't want to go to bed. I'm like, lay in bed. And we close the door and we're like, both just fall on the couch. And 5 minutes later, Eliza comes down.
Yeah. So like
I told you to stay in bed.
Yes. No. And this is the common mistake. Number one, parents leave such a small window. So I'm like, oh, it's 8:50. The kids, and then so now there's all this adrenaline and hype. Yep. Get to bed now, and then all of a sudden you're exciting the kids, and that's not good. And then the kids crying, and then you're adults are fighting. So that's number one. The second one is we just assume kids will hit the pillow and be so exhausted and sleep. They don't. As soon as you start, there's like maybe bedtime story, and they're like, why do clouds exist?
Yep.
And so their brains just don't shut off like ours because we're exhausted mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So the whole process is to get their behavior. So like, okay, as soon as you start chasing Milana around, right, she knows. Or let's say we're a family who doesn't plan first. Let's say we give baths first, then we come and plan in the kitchen or something. As soon as you give that bath, everyone knows the next 6 steps are coming, and it's going to end in sleep.
We have moved bath, like before we knew all this, we have moved bath time like earlier, like around, like right after dinner or something, like 6:30 or 7. So they got about 45 minutes to calm and chill. And that's been better than trying to do bath, brush teeth, and then go straight to bed. Because that's always, the girls don't like their hair to be combed. They're screaming, you're pulling my hair. It's just like, so we can kind of do all that. And we sit on the couch and usually chill for a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Watch
correct.
Barbecue Showdown or something.
Yeah, yeah, and that could be part of your planning. And again, up at the front end, we don't want the screens too close to that. But let's just say
we do that bad.
If you finish with the showdown like with an hour to go, and then you could do it that way.
Usually we end the episode, turn it off, and then get to bed.
Yeah, and I mean, your girls have each other, so that's probably helping them sleep. But we still don't want to stimulate the mind that way because we want and here's the concept.
They go to bed thinking about roasting a whole pig or something.
Yeah, and here's the concept. So like, okay, what if you say, man, we really have 15 minutes? The concept is this: if your kids go to bed and they're eating, their body is still working on digestion, so sleep's off. And we've talked about this before, but if you miss that first hour of sleep, that's when the human growth hormone puts in. That's when testosterone, estrogen comes in. That's when your brain actually doses what you need for the night to rebuild. So if you miss that, think about this as a teacher. You taught this last year on those late starts of school. Yeah. You're trying to cram all those steps into 2 hours. I never understood that just as a kid. But you show up and you're like, why don't we just start with period 3? Why we do every single period of 20 minutes apiece and everyone's just rolling around crazy? And the idea is because they have to meet so many days, right? Yeah. Like state requirements. But it's just like just chicken with their head cut off running around.
Yeah,
Everyone's
mayhem.
Yeah, you get it.
They're all out of their routines.
They're out of the routine. You can't even teach anything because you're trying to cram something in and people are talking. Yeah. It's really kind of dumb. We structure things based on what the requirement or prerequisite is for the objective. We don't structure things for what's best for the brains, right? So this is what's best for the brain. So we have an hour, we plan, prep for tomorrow, we take baths, we do teeth and hygiene. And then number 3, moving into that, we read or Bible stories or something kind of calming. When the boys were little, we used to do Adventures in Odyssey, which is an audiobook story. We do that like 30 minutes before bed. So as we're moving in closer, you can do calming music, which just starts to relax them. And then the last 2 I have down here, number 5 is we're moving into 6 steps. Number 5 would be like relaxing with pets, petting pets. Pets are very, very calming. And then number 6 would be like you're in bed now, you're tucking in, you're doing prayers, and some kids like a back rub just to kind of like settle them down. Yep. So as you move toward more active down to most relaxing, those are 6 steps. And again, it's 3 steps to 6 steps, but the more steps you have and you lock that in as a habit, the second you start step 1, they know that step 7, I'm
triggers
lights
the rest
out.
Of them.
Yeah. Yep. And sleep becomes such a habit. It's so easy. The biggest error I see with families, and I am who I am, so I'm saying, hey, take it or leave it, but I'm going to tell you the truth. The data on kids who have TVs in their room is terrible. So I'm going to say that again. The data on kids who have TVs in their room is terrible. And it goes worse from there. What if you have a gaming system? So the kid can't sleep. He wakes up and he just puts mute and he turns it on. You'd be amazed at how many families I work with where, somebody gets up to go potty and they just like see flashing lights in the kid's bedroom and creak in there and the kid's trying to sleep, but the TV's still on.
Hurry, mom's coming.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, why is your Xbox on? Oh, I have no idea, And it's just so enticing. Like I just tell people all the time, man, I would have been, man, I got spanked enough as it was, but I probably wouldn't be able to sit down if I had Xbox in my room as a kid.
No. I mean, I could never have it.
Yeah.
Even like as an adult, like when I, working from home, the temptation, because my edit and Xbox right there, temptation is just like, I could just turn it on.
It is. And so it's hard for us as adults. Can you imagine kids, right?
Yeah. Today I sent a text, like around 3 or this afternoon, to the guys I play Xbox with. And I was like, anyone want to get on? And then a couple said, yeah. I was like, nah, never mind. I should edit. And I just heard it turn my phone off because I knew they were going to text to keep staying on. But
yeah.
And that's 35 years old. Imagine a little kid or high schooler.
Yeah, it just becomes so crazy. Now let's fast forward. Let's say it takes us a while. Let's say it takes us 6 weeks, And we narrowed down a program where we got our kids like sleep schedule down. Everything we just talked about tonight, you're working on down. It's not perfect by any means, but for your family, it works. And everybody hits the pillow. When the kids hits the pillow, so, okay, we just went through 1 through 6, right? You finish step 6 with prayers and a back rub, and then you leave. So step 7, they hit the head and the pillow. The really good sleep, you should be snoring or not. Okay, you shouldn't be snoring. That's not good sleep. But you should be asleep within 15 minutes.
Easy. I'm there.
Yeah, right?
Me and Alicia fight all the time because, like, when we first got married, she would, like, no way you're sleeping. She would wake me up. I'd be like, what are you doing? No way you fell asleep that fast.
Yeah.
I do something weird. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's probably not anything scientific, but from the time I get in bed and I plug in my phone, and the time I set my phone down, like with my alarm set and stuff, I close my eyes and I don't open them ever.
Yeah.
Like I ironically enough, like I don't even know I did it until I was married. And Alicia said something like, dude, you see that flashing light or something? Or do you see that shadow? I'm like, what do you, and then I open my eyes. I'm like, is this bright in here? Like, what are we doing? Like, why not? And even to this day, she'll like walk up, and if I'm like falling asleep and she walks in the room, I don't ever open my eyes until, just on a random chance, I might just open them. But I don't know if that's a scientific thing or not, but it's just,
just trying to close light out just to help you sleep.
It's a wild thing, but I can fall asleep quick.
Yeah, we've always laughed about this too, but for a couple of decades, we were like going to hotels or
a couple decades, still to this day.
Well, when I get mad about light, in the house,
to this day.
I'm saying it's been going on.
Oh, it's been a couple decades. I thought you meant like back in the day.
Yeah, I read early on that
this man will.
Light sensitivity.
He'll put a towel over a microwave. He'll put socks on. He'll unplug everything. Zero blue lights.
I get the corner of a washcloth in the hotel, and I even put it on the temperature gauge because that's bright blue lights.
Yeah, towel in the door from the hallway. Yes, peephole, everything.
Absolutely blacked out, and then keep it to like 66 or 68.
That's the best part of a hotel. As soon as you get there, to start cranking it.
Just knock it out, right?
Okay.
So now let's talk about a sleep routine. Now let's say you do that, like you got this routine down, and let's say if I scored you, you'd score 95%. Okay, then let's say you come in to see me and you're like, bro, I everything you've said about it on that podcast, we're good. And now I have no idea what to do. Then we'd say this, okay? We'd say, all right, let's get a sleep reward program. So basically all you're going to do is you're literally just going to take a calendar. You can print it off Google Docs. It doesn't matter. And you're going to take a calendar and you're just going to put it on their bedroom door. And you're going to create a legend system. And so like 5 points, which means they have to make 5 days out of 7 in their bedroom. They can come out to go pee. They can come out to say, Mommy or Daddy, I'm scared. And you kiss them and hug them and you tuck them back in. And when you go back to bed, you put them to bed. We're only going to do step 6 again. We're not going to go through the whole routine. So step 6 on this one, just for the sake of our program, it's, we tuck them in, we say some prayers, and we rub their back. So we're only repeating step 6. And yes, a kid can come out multiple times. As they get older, we give them like, hey, you get 2 outs before you lose your point. And the concept is this: that system just they come out, you put them in, repeat step 6. They come out, you put them in, re-step 6, and then they go through the rest of the night. If they wake up in their bedroom, they get a point. If they make 5 days out of 7, they get 5 points. So at 5 points, you would just basically say, hey, you get 5 points, and you celebrate, And then you'd look at the little legend system, and you'd say, hey, 5 points equals. You get 15 minutes bonus on your Xbox. Or you can get, you can have a friend come over for dinner this week or something like that. You can get 1 extra episode on your favorite show. So you can do some things like that. And then the next level of reward is 6 days. So now they made it 6 out of 7. So instead of, so 1 point would be, 5 points at the end of that, 5 days. So one day is a point. Each point is worth 5. So that first level will be 25 points. Okay, something like that. So 5 days times 5, 25 points. And then they get 6 days in a row. So you celebrate them and you say, hey, 5 times 6 is 30. You have 30 points now. So now they can spend 25 points and still save 5, or they can spend all 30. And then now, watch this. If you bank a point, like they say, hey, Dad, I want to bank the 25 points for next week. Okay, bet. And then I do this. If they bank it a full week, right? Then we add them a point, which 1 point turns into 25 or 5 points, right? So 1 point is worth 5, and so if they bank 25, then we give them an extra point, which is 5 more points. So okay, they get a point for every week that they bank it, And then here's what we do to incentivize. So if they make 7 out of 7, we automatically give them 10 points. So 5 is 5 points, 6 days is 6 points, right? And then if they get 7, we're going to bonus them and give them 10 points. So 10 times 5 is 50. So now they go to their legend and they just go, whoa, I want to spend this. And if they banked it, you'd have to add more to it all the way to 100 points. And this is the issue. When a kid's in bed and they have fears, it's super scary. And so there's nothing to fight for. Why am I staying in bed? I'm scary. I can go to my mom and dad, who's super warm. And so the thing you want to fight is don't let your kids climb in bed and sleep with you. And the only reason is because it's so warming that's one thing that kids can't break. I know college kids who still come home and sleep with their parents when they're scared. And you can say, yeah, that's great. I'm going to be that kind of mom, and that's okay. It's good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, except kids have a hard time adjusting in college then because they can't cuddle their mom on a nightmare. So what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get a kid to self-soothe, but they can come out and seek nurturance when they need it. So nurture them up, and then we send them out again. We nurture them up, and then we send them out again. And then so they're in bed, let's say a third time, and they're like, I really don't want to go see mom again. I don't want to get dad mad. I really want my point. And as soon as they start to save and they start to spend points, we basically teach them there's an incentive for saving, and there's a multiplier if they get all days. Is this making sense?
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, and you would probably vouch for this too, is like not getting caught up on the exact system you just said, but figure out something to incentivize.
Correct.
So we don't do like the 1 day equals 5 points, but they can earn a point if they do certain things.
Yes.
And so then we do 5 points equals $5.
Yes.
Same thing. They can bank it and get 30, 40. There's been times, I mean, that's how Stella gets her nails done. People are like, why would you spend that money on your daughter's nails? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But she banked her 45 points,
Yeah.
which then she went and got her, she chose to get her nails done. So you're doing
Yes.
twofold. One, you're incentivizing. Number two, you're teaching her, like you said, to save. So I think if you're listening to this, don't try to get caught up on how many days and how do you bank? Come up with that on your own. I mean, one night is 1 point. 1 point's $10 or $1 or 50 cents. I mean, or like you said, it's playing baseball, or we play family kickball, or we go on a bike ride. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's not about it's not necessarily about the exact system you said, but that's what you did.
Yeah.
That was after I got out of the house. Actually,
Yeah, you never had trouble sleeping, really.
Yeah, you know why? Because I got beat a couple times getting out of bed.
I'm gonna say is
the
I
incentive
probably gripped you up.
There's no incentive. It was do you want to get a spanking, or do you want to stay sleep in your bed? So
yeah, you grew up close to me, close to how I grew up. My default dad parenting wasn't corrected.
Other kids get rewards, so I don't care.
So you grew up kind of like I did. So it's like, hey, if you can sleep with us, but you're not gonna be able to ride your bike or go outside all day.
Right.
And you'd be like, huh?
What's an allowance? Okay.
So
any last thoughts?
No, and I do want to say this, like, you can just Google it and just type in real quick, reward system for sleep, right? And there's 1,000 of them. And the question people ask me the most is, which one's the best one? And the honest answer is the one that your family can stick to. Anybody can start a plan. Everybody will quit the plan. So you have to look at them and be like, I don't think that'll work for us. Hey, that'll work for 2 of my kids. I don't think that'll work for my third one. So you just have to keep looking, keep searching, keep looking, keep searching, or look at one and download it and then just make a couple changes to it and piggyback it. Like, so your kids get 1 point and the multiplier is 1 point turns into $5, right? In this scenario, 1 point turns into 5 points, right? And then you just go from there because it's a token economy system. That's another word you can use, token economy system for sleep, or reward system for sleep. As long as you start it and stick with it, that's great. One last point on this though, anytime you start a behavioral program for anybody, and all you have to do is ask yourself when your boss comes in and says, hey, corporate changed this up on us, everyone's griping. It takes 14 days just to get the complainers settled. Once the complainers settle, even the mental complainers, like, this is stupid, this is dumb, then it starts to kind of click. So you can't start a program and quit it until you get 30 days in, because the first 2 weeks, they did it half-brained. Like, they're just zombies fighting it. And then now the second 2 weeks, they try to figure out the plan, and they start to climb. So you have to give a plan 30 days. Okay.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think it comes down to, for me and Alicia, it was what can we remember?
Yes.
You know, I didn't want to have like,
Perfect.
well, if you lose a baby and you got a stuffed animal, like there's 19. It was a super simple system,
Yes.
and we don't do a sleep one. They just get rewarded or lose points for sleep. We have an overall point chart that's for everything.
But sleep's included in the plan.
Correct.
Yep.
Gymnastics. I mean, we went fishing and they Pastor Bill Yanni caught a fish.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch any. He caught 3. And so the girls were brave and touched the fish.
Yeah.
So we gave them a point for that. So it's like all inclusive, but sleep is a part of that one.
Yeah.
The biggest thing from today is that I struggle with that we got to really work on is not riling them up before bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
And then the screens, because we do that to chill. Because most of like all night long they don't do screens, and we're running and screaming and yelling. And then we shower, do the nighttime, and then the last 30 minutes we watch something on Netflix as a family, which is calm and chill on the couch. So we just got to switch that to something else that's calm and chill on the couch.
And an older kid like Valencia is in middle school, so the older kids, they can she listens to music before bed.
Yeah, so
she's kind of so that's kind of a worship thing.
But other than that, we
also can read.
We hit some routines, with 3 kids and 2, obviously just 2 of us. I take the 2 older, and Milana actually goes up, and we all put Stella and Milana put Stella and Eliza to bed. Then Milana comes down, and Alicia puts her to bed. So we got the structure down, just the little bits of it. We don't do the lights, and we don't do screen time, so we got to implement both those. But
I think the biggest issue is we pressure kids to go to bed, and they go to bed anxious, and they go to bed feeling like
that's what I'm saying. It's always stressful.
They go to bed, it's super stressful.
You didn't do this, and why didn't you this?
No, and all you have to do if you're just speaking to the dads, like if you're a dad, all you have to do is just remember, am I programming my child? Am I programming my child to hate sleep, to go to bed mad, to believe she's not worthy? Like, what am I doing right now? And really just focus on that, because I promise you, if I'm going to get tearful about my kids and just realize, like, man, life goes by so fast. Like, Stacey and I have been married 33 years, coming on 34 in a month. It'll make me cry if I think about like all the time putting kids to bed. You get really sad. So I just try to tap into that. Like,
you mean that it's gone and you can't do that anymore?
It's gone. Like it's and so like if you go to bed mad and then like you're in bed thinking, man, is she get if I get up and leave the office before, I don't get to see her, I don't get to pray with her. So like her last thing we met tonight was that. It's not worth it. And before long, even when kids are older, if you try to hug them, they make especially if it's like dad with a daughter, it kind of gets awkward sometimes. So you have to be careful, because those moments are going to be gone, and they crave that attention for only a short window of time. And then they replace the attention with parents with the attention to peers. Like, what do my peers think?
Yep.
I want to be like dad. And then it's like no longer cool.
Yep.
Right. And so I want my big thing is for dads, like, if you don't connect with your kids all day, make sure you connect for the last 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and the last hour. And think about this. If you connect with your kids, an hour a day for bedtime, that's a lot of time over the years. It's really sad to think about, but the average parent only connects with their kid like 33 minutes a day. That's terrible.
Tough. Yeah, that's tough.
Right. And then now if you just get mad and you fight at bedtime, right? So
as a parent, it's the last thing you do. So you're already exhausted.
Right.
You've already probably been fighting over dinner and vegetables and homework and getting ready. It's like it's just one other thing that they're not wanting to do. And I find myself doing the same thing. And then, you get mad and you get down, and then that guilt sets in. You're like, oh man, there's going to be a day where she's going to want another kiss or another hug, or you didn't tuck me in right, or can you sing me one more song? And I'm like, no, we just sang 4.
Yes.
It's like, what's one more song in the big scheme of things?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a day where you're going to want them to sing one more song, and it's just not going to be possible. So that's good.
And as we approach Father's Day, like one quick question, just ask a question to yourself right now, and just ask, does my child request me for bedtime? And if the answer is no, you already have your answer, right? If the answer is yes, then I would say keep pressing in, because you just go deeper.
Sweet.
All right.
Okay. Well, hey, hopefully you'll tune in to not next week, but the week after that, part 3 of Leap, which is, I don't even know the third one. Screen time. Oh, no. Oh, no. I probably read it and then blocked it out of my head on purpose. I can't do, we struggle with screen time.
Yeah.
So, especially around bedtime. But, okay, well, hey, on this podcast, we teach you how to renew your perspective, move towards uncertainty, and find what's awesome about that in every situation.
Yes.
And never forget it. There's 2 times to be great: when you feel like it and when you don't. We love y'all. Peace out.
Peace.